Welcome Reddit bingers. Behavioral therapist here. Catch your kids being good. Parents are always telling kids what they did wrong. You have to balance it out by telling them what they are doing right. Yes. This goes for educators too. Make sure kids don't end up being the bad kids because all you do is pick up on their disruptive behavior. I'm a teacher and my favorite thing is to find the kid everyone thinks is a troublemaker, and as soon as I meet them, hit them with a "you're a good kid" type compliment. Those kids are shook and they will fight for you the rest of the year. Them that failure is unacceptable, a sign of laziness, or that they just didn't want it enough. It results in people who can't take no for an answer or stay terrible situations because that's what they've chosen, so they have to make it work. Holy shit, does this ever describe my parents? My kindergarten teacher told them I was the most advanced in math in the whole class because I could add and subtract better than anyone else. For the rest of my life they were obsessed with the idea that I was some math prodigy, and any grade other than A in math could only be a result of laziness. Actually turned out that although I developed the ability to add and subtract at a younger age than most, I don't have a particularly good head for advanced math, and once I got to about the geometry level, I had to bust my ass just to get a B. I'd study for hours, get a B on a geometry test, and then my parents would rant about how lazy I was because I was so gifted in math and not getting A's. Holy shit, we could be twins. I was doing third grade math in first grade, way ahead of my level. My teachers told my parents I was gifted, blah blah. Well, I averaged out real fast and didn't even make the honors track in middle and high school math. I always assumed I was shit at math because I'd work my ass off for a B. Fast forward to college, it turns out I am really good at math when there's some context to it, aka my engineering degree. I don't do well with just plain math, but when I'm solving a problem about water in pipes, somehow it all makes sense to me. You might not be bad at math. You might just be a different style of learner. Psychologist here. Parents are frequently their child's first bully. Number one thing is probably being too distracted by addictions, grief, mental health issues to be emotionally present for their child. Too many adults walking around unaware of their worth because they were never shown or told that they matter. My brother is doing this to his kids. He's not a bad guy, just has a lot of problems and on a lot of medication, and I can see some attention-seeking behavioral issues starting in my nephew. Is there anything I can do? Be there for your nephew. Give him positive attention. Listen to him when he talks. Spend time with him. Show him he matters. I'm not a professional, but I've been that kid, as well as having been around another kid in the same situation. My life changed for the better when someone made the effort to spend time with me and listen. I was bullied into having self-esteem and pride in my accomplishments. As an adult, I was around a little boy who had already developed some serious behavioral issues because of his mother's neglect. Giving him the attention he needed made a huge difference. He would constantly interrupt conversations so he could get some negative attention from his mother. When I was around him and he'd start interrupting, I would say, "Someone is already talking right now. Hush, and as soon as they finish I will listen to you." Then I would actually turn to him and listen once the first person was done speaking. It didn't take long for him to stop the attention-seeking behaviors, because he was getting real attention. Of course, once his mother would come to pick him up, he would immediately revert back to misbehavior. Actual therapist, failing to admit it when you're wrong. Kids need to see adults fail and that be okay. Take your lumps with grace and they'll learn to do the same as they get older. Fight and deny and they'll do two things. Never learn that it's okay to make mistakes, therefore stressing out if they do or worrying that they might. Never learn to admit those mistakes, and end up being huge fucking nuisances. I don't know how it has happened, but my now 7-year-old is really, really good with talking about his feelings. I attribute it to giving him timeouts when he was younger, then discussing it later in a calm manner. Because of this he has the ability to calmly point out when I'm wrong. in the times I am actually wrong. Well, it takes a lot to swallow my pride. However, I always try to remember that I am raising a future adult, and he needs to see how to respond when you are actually wrong. I also have combination type ADHD, and forget to do things quite a bit. He is excellent at reminding me. He'll say something like, "Mommy, did you forget?" It's okay, we all forget sometimes. I don't care if he is the smartest little dude in the room, but I want him to be as emotionally intelligent as possible. Actual therapists here not offering their children unconditional love. When a child does something wrong, it's important to explain to them what they've done wrong. It's a matter of saying "I love you, so I want to explain why this is an issue for me." Parents need to be open to a conversation with their children about why something is an issue, instead of storming off or shouting at them. Children need to feel loved no matter what. That's honestly the most valuable thing I've learnt as a therapist. Edit: if anyone is interested in reading literature on the importance of unconditional love, let me know, I can send you some links. Edit: added some links but I'll add more later. God. This reminds me of one of the teachers at my school. She teaches 3rd grade and tells her students several times a day that she loves them. And whenever she has to have a talk with any of them about behavior, she always starts it with "I love you, but." So like, "I love you, but you can't go out to recess right now because you chose not to do your work earlier and you need to do it now." I think it really gets through to her kids because they're always the quickest to come back around and say sorry and fix whatever they were doing wrong. Made the child take care of the parent's emotions. It's supposed to be the other way around. You control your sadness, anger, disappointment. Don't make your kid anticipate your emotional response and work to regulate you. Therapist here, LMFT. Probably the biggest and most common fuck-up I see is parents shaming their child for having their own identity and personal interests separate from the parents'. Just support your kid and don't try to force them to be someone they're not. Don't call them weird or tell them their likes are stupid. Show interest in the things they like and let them teach you about those things. Also, don't take it personally if your child is not an exact replica of you. Kids are human, and like all humans, despite our similarities, there are vast differences as well. You can learn to celebrate and value those differences, or everyone can be miserable. My mum probably found it amusing to refer to Minecraft, which was my big passion for a few years, as Minecraft. I didn't. All I wanted was for her to let me talk about it for a little while, or spend a few minutes honestly attempting to play the game with me, or to look at the thing I build and at least say that it looked nice. Instead it was just comments about how ridiculous it was, or how much time I was wasting, or how bad the graphics look. This is one example of many, but it's the one that most sticks out in my mind. Social worker for 25 years. Inconsistencies. Poor kid never knows how to react because they never get a consistent response. Therapist here also. I see a number of teens and some of the things I have noticed in the population that really does a number on them are parents failing to keep their promises and consistently repeating the promises and never fulfill them. When your child does something wrong, don't sweep it under the carpet, be passive-aggressive or stonewalling. Not trusting them enough, always in helicopter mode, not validating their feelings. Hey, it is okay you are angry. Anger is an emotion. Your kids have the right to feel that. This also goes for not encouraging them to discuss their emotions, not apologizing when you should. You are a human as much as your child, irrespective of how old he or she is. When you are in the wrong, say sorry and talk about what you can do differently next time. You are setting a positive model for your child. Please remember, lack of communication. I cannot even emphasize enough how many teens I see or clients in general lack communication skills. Therapist here. The most common thing I hear from clients is they never had proper modeling of emotions, and they now have the inability to identify or articulate their own emotions effectively. The most common intervention I use with clients is to show them the wheel of emotion and encourage them to check in with it a few times a day. I like to do it when I refill my water bottle. Thanks for binging with the Reddit Wolf. Don't forget to like and subscribe.